Let me read to you from Psalms 119, beginning in verse 105, probably Psalm 119's most famous verse. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. I have sworn and confirmed that I will keep your righteous judgments. I am afflicted very much. Revive me, O Lord, according to your word. Now I want you to notice that the case lays out for what I think, and we'll get back to this in a moment, but for what I think is a progression of thought. There is the word that's a lamp. It's both to my feet and to my path. Then I have a response to that word. I've sworn and confirmed I'll keep your judgments. And then I have a reaction to that word, to my response to that word. I've afflicted very much. And then I have a need. Revive me, O Lord, according to your word. And I want to work on this cycle today because I think this is a cycle that people go through in their Christianity, and a cycle that I don't think is healthy, one that I think we can break. And you might say, how is a cycle that's laid out in the Bible an unhealthy cycle? Well, I think most of us understand that we're dealing with two different covenants when we talk from biblical terms. So when we're reading the Old Testament, we're reading a narrative that was laid out under a covenant in which God gave man the law and then man responded through his actions, versus a new covenant where God gave us Jesus. How many of you realize the essential gift of the new covenant is Jesus? Amen. Right? The essential gift of the old covenant was the law, but the essential gift of the old covenant was promised land. You do your part, I'm going to put you in a promised land. So it was a piece of property. We got something way better than a piece of property. We have the man Christ Jesus. I want to talk for a second about religion. Religion kind of gets a black eye in our sermons and in our songs and in our churches, and I realize why we give the word religion a black eye. But if I could just advocate for about 5 minutes for religion, I want to try. It's honestly not easy because a lot of us came out of structured religion that was almost like a vice grip on our liberty, and so then it gets tough to defend the vice grip. But if I could for a moment, let me just lay out the case that there's really essentially nothing wrong with the term religion. In fact, the New Testament uses the term religion. James says, pure religion and undefiled is to take care of the widows and the fatherless and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. Now that's a New Testament verse, which tells me that we don't have to be on an all-out war against the phrase religion, but there's a right and there's a wrong, obviously. But in the terms of the world, all over the world today, under every flag of religion, people are finding solace. Maybe not necessarily on Sunday morning. In some religions, it's other days of the week or whatever. But they're finding some sort of solace because there's never been a greater assemblage. There's never been a greater philosophy in mankind than the philosophy of religion in order to have a social structure. What I mean by that is, nothing does more to rally us around births and deaths, coming of age, marriages, than religion. The backdrop of our weddings, of our christenings, of our baptisms, of our ceremonies, of our funerals, in one way or the other, they're the social structure of religion. They're the way that families have placed themselves together. Communities are close-knit by religion. You'll hear people say, well, this neighborhood is such and so kind of religion or kind of faith. And what they mean by that is we all sort of rally around one another. We share a common set of beliefs. I think in that manner, religion has a lot to offer. I mean, really, it gives people a structure. It gives people a support system. It gives people community. It gives people a neighborhood. It gives people, somebody has your back. Somebody that you're going to go see this week and sit down and talk to and break bread with, regardless of your religion, regardless of what, and I know I'm being careful how I say that, but regardless of what God you serve. There's value in that, right? I think socially we can agree on that. We have a tough time talking about that in Christian circles because we have an exclusivity message of Jesus the only way. And I'm not discounting the Jesus the only way message, but I am saying that we can acknowledge that there is a path, there is a religious path that people find solace in. Here's where I think it goes south, because it definitely has the potential to go sour. And where I think it has the potential to go sour is what I call the two A's that find their way into religious atmospheres. And those two A's are afterlife and achievement. The moment a religion starts to focus on the afterlife and on an achievement in the eyes of its God, whoever he, she, or it may be, the moment the afterlife and achievement comes in, religion goes sour quickly. Because when the afterlife, we'll start with the afterlife. When the afterlife comes in as a principal point of the religion, then the life becomes secondary to dying. Living becomes secondary to dying because dying becomes more important than how you live. And therefore, where you're going to go when you die, which none of us have been on the other side to even see what that looks like, religion then starts to become an expert in what is to be had when you cross that river, so to speak. When you slip out into eternity. However your religion wants to say it, once afterlife becomes a subject, then it becomes an issue that makes the box smaller in that religion, because you have to qualify to get into the afterlife, and the fewer people that qualify, the smaller the box gets. And then a real deadly one comes in, and that's a sense of achievement. Once religion becomes a mean by which you achieve something with your God, by which you receive favor, by which you receive blessing, by which you climb a ladder to get into His presence. Once religion descends into that mentality, the box gets even smaller, because now you can really only associate with people who agree on your version of the afterlife and your version of the achievement in this life to get to the afterlife. And what was a great community support of births and weddings and coming of age and societal encouragement now becomes a smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller fundamental section of that religion, until only so many people are allowed in, because only so many people are right, everybody else is wrong. And then religion has gone to seed, and it is now a problem. Because what has happened is that we have taken the focus off of living and we've put the focus on dying, and we've taken the focus off of God. When we start to do a religion of achievement, we take the focus off of God and we put the focus on us. And when we start to put the focus on us, it becomes about how much I give, how much I do, where I go, what I say, what I wear, in order to receive from a God. We get a beautiful contrast of this between the Old Testament and the New Testament, because I present to you that Israel slowly but surely spiraled downward into the dark side of religion. What they had was a beautiful structure. God told them in Deuteronomy 10, I give you the law for your own good. I'm setting you up. You've got it all. You have your land and you have your blessing. And what happens is, because if you'll notice, the Old Testament doesn't focus on the afterlife. We don't have a focus of heaven and hell theology in the Old Testament. So that aspect of religion was left alone by Judaism. But what they did do was they began to preach achievement. What you have to do in order to be. And that message that God gave them of the law that was good and just and perfect, which was to hem them in from their neighbors and give them a social structure, they mistook that law for the means of righteousness. And the moment they started mistaking the law as the means for righteousness, they went down that hill quickly into bondage, mentally, physically, spiritually, until we end up realizing that religion has such a dark side that we push away from it in so many respects. And we should, if religion has descended into what happens to you when you die, and it has descended into works and performance and achievement all on your behalf.